time to talk to us. It's awesome. We've been actually fitting to do this for quite some time, and when we saw this gig, he just went and was like, let's just try it. Let's just ask Marianne and see if we can get in. And she said yeah, and I was like, oh.
No, anything for the boys, right?
Yeah, no, it's good, man.
Yeah, she posted on one of the YouTube videos, so I was like, yeah, we're gonna message around and see if we can get in, just because we were gonna be here anyway. So.
And how you are?
We've got tickets as well. It's not like we tried to press pass our way in. We buy everything. We buy the tickets. We buy the merch. Buy the everything. Right.
I do actually have a tee, but I'm not wearing it.
Yeah.
Because it's not a vest, obviously. You have to have the muscles out. So Stu knows. Thank you, man.
It used to be me, but I've just given up now. Leave the mantle to him now.
Nah, we appreciate it, boys. Honestly,
no,
like
you're welcome.
we say, like we always say to people, like we say this every fucking time. We're boring as fuck, but we're just a small time channel who just do it for the love, and like, you know, we buy a ticket. So we interviewed Isolate at one of their gigs, and they were trying to give it to us for free, and we're like, no, we don't need any shit. We'll buy our tickets. We'll come down. We just want to do it because we enjoy the music. So
that's very commendable, man. Thank you very much.
And obviously, we wanted to bring you beers, and this is the only way we can seek them in.
Yeah.
That's wicked. Joe will love that.
Quality.
Joe's going to be steaming later.
It's only because we want to be using this as a storage room for the rest of our stuff.
There's
a reason for it.
I see what you've done.
Yeah. But yeah, I think. So I have a question. The dynamic and the sound has changed a little bit from back in the day. Now, was it always going to be an organic migration to that sound, or was it due to the nature of changing vocalist to Ollie that you've actually looked at a different way of handling that sound? Were you naturally
the crossover seems to be around the time that we reckon you got signed or were going to get signed, so it was quite interesting
so
time.
I think the first thing we do is we quash the sign thing because the album was done way before.
Yeah.
Was it?
That's interesting.
So,
when we were pitching to labels, the album was already recorded, everything was already done.
That's fucking awesome.
Actually, to be fair, when we first spoke to Rise and Empire, Ollie wasn't on the album. So they got a copy of the record without the vocals, and that was when they offered us the first deal. So that was really cool because they liked the sound and, you know, trusted what we were doing so much that they offered us. We didn't actually sign until later, but they actually offered us the first incarnation of what would become our Till without a vocalist, which is pretty mad.
That's
really.
amazing.
So that's another little exclusive.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to ask the question.
So that was kind of cool. I think really it was just the sound has just sort of changed sort of naturally, really, hasn't it? It wasn't naturally it was going to sound different with a different vocalist. Like, obviously that was going to be the thing, and I think we kind of decided to sort of lean into that a little bit. But we'd already been writing.
Yeah, musically, a lot of it, if not like probably 90% of it musically was done with, as Ollie was joining the band. So it was like, I think it was more of a natural, and as you say, everything was going to sound different because he's a totally different vocalist. But as a general vibe, it was just like a natural thing. It wasn't like a conscious or.
Well, that's interesting because I was saying as I was on my way down, I listened to your album literally on repeat all the way down.
3 hours.
That's like learning it. And I'm not joking, both because I wanted to talk about it, but also because it is a banging album, right? So when I was listening to it, I was thinking, well, the way that this has been done and how it's manifested, it feels like it's an organic growth and it's just a natural phase shift to where you're going. But because of the timing of how things happen from Sam to Ollie, I was like, well, is it that playing to the strengths of yourself and Ollie working together, or was that where it is? So you've answered the question for me. But it's good to know that actually that was already done and dusted.
Yeah, like, I think it was just a sort of natural. I think there's elements of it being a natural progression, and then there's elements of things kind of falling in our lap in such a way that it kind of all just sort of came together. Because even things like Oz, who produced the album, he's produced our other albums and EPs and everything before this, but we recorded the record just before the first lockdown. Yeah. So what it meant was by the time we got to mixing, we were in lockdown. Right. So he basically phoned me up and he was like, look, it's going to take time, but just leave it with me because I've got nothing else to do. So it basically meant he was, obviously he works on his own, he was isolating, just in and out and doing his thing, mixed it in probably 2 or 3 times the amount of time he would normally have. So there's all little elements like that that are just kind of, just it was all by chance. There was no sort of planning, but it's all just kind of amalgamated itself together to become COMA, which is it's
cool,
cool, man.
Amalgamate's a nice word.
Yeah,
I like
it's like it's just sort of got all into one place, and having that. I feel like I'm very passionate about the whole kind of everything happens for a reason. I feel like with this record, it was very much that kind of case.
It comes across in a lyrical content, doesn't it? I think
for sure.
We talk a lot about lyrical content and stuff, and it comes across so strongly. But we always like look at the negative and make it a positive. So I think that's a big thing with this album, isn't it? It's that I know obviously a lot of it
like
really from your perspective,
like really happily sad.
Yeah, when we said it about it was like death.
Fucking pop song.
Yeah, we're like, what's this?
Right.
Actually, I'm meant to be sad.
Yeah.
Who is the driver for these like funky ad-lib kind of R&B stroke acid funk jazz styles?
Yeah, I think that was where it sort of I think that was a conscious change with the record. It was like we want to try and essentially blow everything up that we'd done previously and kind of look at all the pieces that put it together and kind of expand on it further. So the poppier sections would become poppier and the heavier sections would become heavier. So that was kind of the only real thing that we'd sort of discussed as a conscious thing. But then we just fell into this sort of rabbit hole of
it's cool, man.
Random little ad-lib vocals
with synths and stuff.
It just became. There's one of the songs Jay wrote basically entirely on like MIDI synths and stuff. So we were like, this slaps. And then it was like got to like me and Stu were like, how the fuck do we play this?
We programmed it all on a MIDI guitar.
So what do we do? We physically had to learn how to play the songs. So it was just like, it sounded great, but we were sort of going, I don't know. So there's lots of things that we tried that were different.
Yeah.
But it was sort of being true to the process whilst exploring those things. I think that was kind of the important balance. And I feel like we did alright.
It comes across nicely,
Yeah, it's kind of given another identity, if you like. It's something that's quite unique to yourselves. And like, So Sad as for example, that key change that you've done in the middle of it, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, have they actually just done a key change? It's not normal for metalcore or metal for that matter to do that. They've literally just gone key change.
Arguably, I think that's my favourite song alongside Death of Me, probably. I'd say those two.
Yeah, I think So Sad was funny because like we got towards the end of the record, and to sort of condense the story down, we had most of the album done. Then Sam told us he was going to be parting ways with the band. We spoke to us, we had all the studio time and everything was booked.
We already booked everything. It was like a month or so away.
It wasn't far.
A long turnaround.
So we had to deal with all of that and finish writing songs because we didn't have enough songs. I'm fairly sure.
So
Bar Dangerous, because we finished that in the studio. It was like the last demo that we finished for the record, and it would have been about 4 o'clock in the morning, I think.
Yeah.
We got to this point where we tried all these different things, and we don't know what to do, and I was like, just do a fucking key change, dude. We'll see what happens. Like, and literally that was what we did. We just we recorded it in a different key, bolted it on the end, and we were like,
that's amazing.
Shit slaps. And that's basically it. It really was just a sort of on a whim. I don't even know.
You don't see that much in this genre, and it was like,
that was part of it.
It kind of makes you prick your ears and go, have they really just done that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that was kind of part of it, really. It was just sort of seeing, I think the next record we'll have to go for a Beyonce style Love on Town.
You can't surprise people anymore, so you have to go
that's
next
the
level.
Problem, isn't it? Like, it's kind of going, we sort of done other things, and again, it wasn't a conscious decision of let's shock people or let's do something else. It was just kind of like, we don't really know where to take the song.
Yeah.
Don't really want to just do a chorus repeat. And just do a key change. I just remember literally being sort of laid on the sofa like, let's just do a fucking key change, dude. And the next minute it's like, I woke up the next day and listened back to it thinking, this is going to be shit. And it was like...
I do think originally in the demo we did 2 key changes and then we were like,
I'm not sure we did.
I feel like we tried it.
We did the double key change on the Christmas song.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking.
Yeah. We did.
Was that only double or was...
it was only 2.
It felt like we done 10.
That might be working.
We did 2 on the Christmas song, but that was fun. That was the same conversation, but we just kind of like, let's do another one and another one. So
kept going up.
Maybe one day we'll do that and just start in like something stupid and just work.
Don't do too many. I struggle to sing along with your tunes because your range is really high, right? And I don't have that range. No, it's good, but like I have to sing an octave lower when I'm in the car. Not that I'm a good singer at all, but like when you're there, like I'm like,
vibing.
To be completely fair, I fucking struggle singing solo parts. Don't worry too much.
Well, we're gonna see it live soon, so.
Well, yeah, we'll find out today. Yeah, like, no, it's a. I think that was the big thing when we were doing it. It was like we just want to push it in every direction and see. You know, we wanted to try and find a guitar sound that didn't sound like anybody else.
Yeah,
we wanted to try and find, you know, the drum sound is relatively natural, which in comparison to some other stuff out in the market at the moment, you get a lot, you know, it sounds wicked, but it's very kind of processed.
Yeah, triggered, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we wanted to try and just find somewhere where there was a little pocket where we could try and sort of slot ourselves in, and, you know, we're not the heaviest band on the bill, we're not the kind of poppiest band on the bill most of the time, so it was about trying to find something that was just us, and I think that's something that was like a conscious decision.
I mentioned a few of them. I think it might have been on the Regret About Me review, but I can't actually remember because we're old as fuck. But I think I mentioned like the drumming kind of sounded a little bit like Anderson .Paak, if anyone knows Anderson .Paak. I was like, that's funky as fuck. Like, what the fuck is that doing here?
I've got to say they've got a lot of funk in.
Yeah, and we were just like loving the funk and stuff. Like the drumming is really funky, and was like, how the fuck is this working into metal and rock and shit? And it was like, that's actually class.
It's cool, man. I think that's the big thing. In some ways, COMA's kind of become a bit of a transitional album for us, I think, because we've sort of opened the door a little bit now and seen, you know, we've put some of those funky bits in, and obviously Dangerous is a little bit further down that road with the sort of way that the bass line sits and stuff, but now that we've done that, I don't know if we're going to explore that further, but I feel like we probably will, because it's just something.
But it's experimental, kind of, right? You just work stuff out and where things fit.
Other people aren't doing. That's the big thing.
I think that's what we've appreciated Bring the Horizon so much over the years, is because at first we were a bit like, whoa, ammo and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I don't know about this, and then eventually we're just like, actually, it's class. Metalcore doesn't need to just be the same sound as everyone else with loads of screaming, and like even Architects have changed now. It's like it doesn't need to be the Architects formula for fucking shit tons of albums. Like, so I think that's what we appreciate. Is I think in our old age we've kind of just we've adapted with the times, haven't we? And that's how it should be. It's so expressive. It's so like it's so funky. But then it's heavy, and then it's sad, and it's aggressive, and it's like, I don't know where to go with this. It's just like,
it's overwhelming.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing that's
still strong breakdowns.
Always. Well, I think that's the thing that's kind of scary for us. Like we're looking at the next record and stuff, which we have started doing. Is it's kind of like, where do we go from here? You know, because there was so much fuel in the tank almost in terms of lyrically and, you know, melodically. And
even the branding and marketing, so like having the pink throughout, because obviously I work in digital marketing and web development, graphic design for myself. So like I pick up on all that stuff. I loved it. It was just it was a fucking bright pink. It was, and that's great. Like metal doesn't need to just be black all the time and stuff. It's quality.
I had some mad ideas, and I think it wasn't. I'm not taking full credit for that, but like I said about pink earlier on. No, but like with the pink, it was like I sort of said, like, what do you guys think about this? And I think it took a bit of kind of convincing in a few areas because we'd done previously had the sort of green theme and done it, but not like we didn't really lean into it. And this time, we've done this thing. The whole band is changing, and I feel like if we're going to change it, we need to change everything. And it's like, let's flip it on its head, and, you know, so there was a lot of dark imagery on the first one, so it was like, let's turn it around completely the other way. So the album cover is literally obviously that sort of pure white with the sort of very sort of bold image, and it was all sort of calculated stuff to try and change the perception of everything, and then obviously weaving in the way that we announced Ollie and stuff. It was all just kind of calculated, and it seemed to work quite nicely.
It did. Like everything, even from that box in the forest with the pink inside it. And
I messaged Mikey about that because we said on the review, we're like, this seems a bit weird or a bit dodgy, and then he said, I think he commented saying something about like, there's a funny story behind that. So I messaged you about it, and you were like, the police definitely came down to see what the fuck was going on with the giant pink box.
Yeah, it was funny because we did it in like a woodland which is in a valley. So we were on the hill on one side, and on the other side of the hill, probably a couple of miles away, so you can see it, were houses. So we didn't really think about it at the time, but obviously as it got dark, you were in the house, having a cup of tea, and you were there.
Alien.
What the fuck is that? You know, like,
I'm leaving.
With binoculars, like
huge beam of like pink light, and there's like, I remember the police arrived, and we were like, oh,
here we go.
We're gonna get in
we
trouble
thought about it. We was kind of like, it's probably quite likely it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I think we had a little bit of hope, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think we were more worried about it. There was a few COVID-based things, wasn't there? So
that was
we had to be like. So we were worried about that side of it. We didn't really think about the fact that a glowing pink cube.
Yeah.
That's like 6 foot cubed, and it's massive, you know, like full of smoke, a big pink light, like. Didn't think about that.
Caskets had it a little bit as well, didn't they? Because with the only one.
Yeah.
And obviously they had a few things, but obviously it got them the guitar, not the guitar sponsorship, obviously like association with, I can't remember who it was, because the guys who owned it was just like in one of the houses. He came out to watch it, and they were like, "Oh, we're really sorry," and he was like, "No, I own this company." And they got him like the guitar association with, I can't remember who his bloody called the brain, but just because they were setting fire to shit.
Mate,
for videos. So there you go, just in case you want to get associated with anyone. Set fire to shit. Next to people's houses.
We're not condoning this.
No.
No, we're condoning it, they're not.
Bad.
I mean, he's condoning it.
Yeah, I like fireworks. So. But no, that is funny. When I messaged you, I was like, fucking hell, that just looks ridiculous. That can't have gone down well.
I mean, it was at the time we were a bit like, fucking hell, but looking back at it, obviously it was very funny. And, everyone, you know, it was fine. The police were great when they came to see us. They were really helpful, really understanding. Just obviously, you see torches coming through the woods. And oh god, that's good. It's gonna be bad.
But loads of bands have done it, because Polaris have done it for one of theirs, where they were on the like the train and stuff. Apparently they just did it guerrilla style, so they just did it as long as they could until the police came. That's exactly what they did. They got on a train, like tried to shoot some bits while they were on the train, and then the police told them to get off. And then on like the same, like when they were just around them, they were just like doing it, and then the police would be like, "Can you please stop?" So they were just trying to do it as quick as they could, like guerrilla style. So
it's tough, man. Like you got to hustle. That's the thing. Is it's difficult to create. You know, you don't. There's a perception. I think the bands get signed and they get this huge budget, and it's not how it works most of the time. Like, you get a nice little amount of money to help you do your thing, but it's not like you just get endless pots of gold to do your thing.
We've said that numerous times, because Polaris all have full-time jobs, and everyone thinks they're huge. Because a lot of them go back because they have a lot of people that are understanding. Like a couple of them work on like someone's farm and stuff like that. And they just have to go back and just go and work. They literally go and work the day after if they feel okay.
It's all about balance.
And we said that to people. It's like, you got to remember these bands. That's why we get pissed off when people try and get like freebies and come in and like, oh, we're going to come do some photos for you. We'll do it for free. Yeah, you get us tickets. Like, fuck. No, pay your fucking way in. We don't like. That's what we've done.
I think it's important to do like both ways as well, though. You know?
Yeah,
a little bit.
A lot of the time, you can see bands like trying to take advantage of people, like
that's what it's
going, "Oh, come and shoot me for free." Right? And it's, you want to everyone should be treated fairly as much as possible, but obviously within the confines of the way that the industry is. And I think that's important.
Yeah, but if you're up and coming and you're trying to make something, it's nothing for me to like. The tickets for today weren't expensive. You know what I mean? Actually, it was more expensive for me to get up here than it was for me to get to. Do you know what I mean? Like,
especially
get down here, especially in my car, we won't even get into
tickets
that. Do you know what I mean? Like a bit of merch here and there, like I say, we always try and do something because we want bands to succeed. Like you know, if you love music, you should be interested in kind of helping the act out or whatever. Yeah, if you become like massive, then I'll be knocking on your door and be like, hey, press pass.
I think that's something.
That'll be us soon. Just give us a few years.
We'll get massive.
We've always been trying to like sort of be conscious of that as well, though, because there's people that have sort of stuck with us since like right at the very start. Obviously, you guys are some of those, but there's been people that have been with us since we were fucking nobody. So it's little things like we were at a show a little while ago, and there was one girl that had come down and she was at the door early. So we brought her in to sound check, and I was like, made her day, man. And she was like, but it's like, we're not going to let you sit out in fucking cold, and not do it. It's little things like that when you can, because it's not always possible. When you're able to, it's like, why not give something back?
I mean, I had a lot of love when I was at the Envisions gig, and I snapped my Achilles. It's in December. We won't go into it. I was in the mosh pit.
He stayed there the whole gig, by the way, because this was when Isolate.
You snapped it in the pit?
Yeah.
And then he just sat around, and we moved him in
there. But they moved us backstage, and all the
Yeah.
bands were fucking wonderful. The guys, you'll know Simon from from Key Club. He's an absolute. So he was just like, they were checking up on me. Everybody was sound as fuck. They were like, oh yeah, it's good. And that's what I mean. It's like the scene's there to look after each other. You can do this. Hello, bro.
Hello.
Come on.
Oh,
I would have came in ages ago.
Remember. Who knows?
Oh, he's ruined everything.
I was great.
Your Achilles! So it's really hard for us.
No, you're right.
The
point I was making is the scene is awesome, and everybody just helps out and looks after each other, and it's reflected. And like, because I'm you know, I go to the gigs, everybody sees me because I've done that. I was just like, what the fuck, holy shit. You should go to the hospital. I'm like, I'm in Leeds on a Friday night at 9 o'clock. I'm not going to the infirmary, I'll be there till fucking 6 in the morning.
Because I've driven 3 hours.
Yeah, driven 3 hours.
He's come 3 hours, so I'm not going anywhere. It's like, we'll watch the gig and then we'll go to the hospital.
Yeah. So we just stayed, and I opened up. The first thing I was like, what do you want? It's like a fucking beer.
You've been to keep him high, but just constantly giving him ales. I'm like, is this a good idea? He's like, I don't care at this point. And he's like, fucking Achilles was literally up here. I could feel nothing, and then all of a sudden he was just like,
oh my god.
That's what we're
second song in. It wasn't even Envisions. It was
Isolate.
It was
and
Isolate.
It was a band after Isolate as well. So
somebody pushed me, and I went to push back, and it just went bang. I thought somebody clipped it, and
that is rough.
How long did that take to like recover?
I've got the superior healing. I don't know why, but like they looked at it. It was like, look, 16 to 18 weeks of recovery before you can start walking on it.
3 pints.
3 pints.
How long did it take? 3 pints.
But 10 weeks I was walking on it again. Like the physios touched it, they were just like, it shouldn't be healed. It's healed. Like, what's going on? And I was like, mad.
Just built different, mate.
Yeah, I built different.
Built differently.
Yeah,
it's
so
all the ales.
It is all the ales and the
whiskey that we drink.
Where's Pappy? He's not here. Sorry.
He's
not even in there.
Yeah, basically it's just a testament to I guess the industry and the people who are around and again just involving yourself with people. It's cool as fun.
We see so many the same faces obviously tonight, like, you know, Delayed Departure here for them as well. You know, they sent you the clip of us going, yeah, Delayed Departure would be a really fucking good fit for you boys. Like,
did they actually send them the clip?
Yeah, Charlie was like, I sent them the clip for you saying that.
No, I mean, this is the thing. The good thing about doing shows like this is obviously it's back to our roots a little bit, because we used to book all our own shows and do it kind of the old school way, and it's hard, you know, to do that, but that's kind of the way it was. So with this, that's what we've done. So it's all been self-promoted from, you know, there's no big promoter behind it or anything else. It's all just us doing our thing, so the support has been mad, like totally insane. And we got to pick, I mean, obviously we wanted to sort of headline here for a long time.
It's been booked for God's knows how long.
It's been booked for nearly 3 years, to be fair. So it's been pretty crazy. But that means we get to pick the lineup as well. So that's the cool part about doing it, because we can then give back to other bands, because we got fucking grilled hard by Glassheart and Lastel on the tour, because they did the tour and weren't booked for the London show. They were like, "Why are you not there? Let's go to London." And like, obviously they're all pals, so like they're only really doing it to wind us up. But they're such a good band.
It's so epic. It's just epic music.
Oh, phenomenal band. But
we didn't know anything about them when we saw them again, Key Club, and I was I was walking to the bar and I stopped. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And my hair was on end, and I was like,
crazy,
oh my god.
Crazy good band. That's literally what happened to us. Like, we'd never even seen them before, and we were just at a festival in, I think it was in Wales somewhere, and just saw them play, and we were all like in the venue in different places. We're kind of looking at each other, going, "Fucking hell, these guys are good." And that was the thing. But we wanted to be able to try and give back to some other bands as well, you know. So like, we had to sort of go to them and say, "Yeah, you're not doing this one." In fact, I think this was booked first. So then it was like, "Oh, can't we do that one as well?" I was like, "Well, because you're doing this." But they got to do the whole UK run and everything else. So it's like, hopefully they got enough out of it. But it was just nice to be able to give other bands a chance to come and play. We played here a couple of times, like back in the day, with supporting other bands and stuff, and now to be here doing our own.
It's wicked when you see like big bands. And I think Parkway Drive did this a few years ago as well.
Yeah, mad, man.
And it's cool when like those types of bands, like a band from Australia, go, actually we want an intimate gig, and they go, right, this is where we need to be. It's like, you know, why would you, like, of all the places, like, to know of this place that seriously?
You won't get much more intimate than this place as well, man. Yeah. It's going to be
it's not my favourite venue, but I appreciate why it's cool.
It's just, I think it's such a prestigious place to kind of come and do something like this. And, you know, since we booked it, we were booked here, then we booked something else because of the whole thing with the COVID thing. We were going somewhere else, then we came back here. Then it all got cancelled, and then it was like, now we are back here, obviously, in the flesh, doing it. So it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be special.
So Ollie, what do you think of the ale? That's the real question.
Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah. But we've had a messy night once with roadkill, so I don't know.
Why has everyone got a roadkill story?
Other New England IPAs are available.
like, this is a beautiful logo. This is like literally my favourite. I'm like, yeah. Everyone's like, yeah, we've had this before.
It's particularly good.
I
The
do like
problem is
sumo
it's because
to be
it's so good
Yeah, I
that
like
you end up
sumo
drinking
to
more
be
than you should, and then
I'm
it gets to
actually
be.
not
It's
sure on the
quaffable,
West
it's-
Coast.
It's
like,
so refreshingly
Got
tasty.
to bring it down anyway.
You forget how fucking strong it is.
It's potent, exactly. Yeah, it's a wild one, but it is good, man. I mean, I love all their stuff.
It's the rum punch of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Amen. Oh, wicked.
So, like, Ollie, how has it been with the transition and stuff? Like, because obviously, like, we're huge fans of Sam. Like, we loved Sam. The guy was phenomenal. Like, honestly, we had a hard on for him. Like, when we found out from you guys,
I'm sure I'd love to see that.
And it was like 3 or 4 in the morning.
You wouldn't want
We
to see
watched all
that.
the download videos. We were watching all the fucking live videos. We listened to every song because we were like, and this is just before like the Key Club did. We were like, fucking hell, like. So we like really got into Sam and stuff. So like, how's the transition been for you personally? Because obviously, I know you. Obviously, we see all your videos as well. Like, every time we're like, yeah, that's an Ollie video. Because it looks fucking sick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fine. Like, because I've since Casket came out, just been mates with the whole band since then. So it's like I've been following City since then anyway. So it's like 6 years. So I knew the songs, but yeah, some of the like higher screams and like the pitchy stuff. That's
Right.
Yeah, it's a bit different. But I think it's okay now. At the start, like when we first demoed stuff at Jay's, I struggled with Don't Wait For Me a lot. But
Okay, yeah.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough
Yeah.
credit at all, to be honest. But
I think you have to just take it from a different perspective. You're not the same vocalist, but you
Yeah.
can actually add your own take to that, right?
yeah, that's I need to remember that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've always said like Sam is phenomenal, but Sam is Sam in his own right, and like you know, it's a shame that he decided to leave the scene. But like, you're also a perfect fit for what the band has done now, so it doesn't really matter. Like, you are you, and it, honestly, like.
I love
I've
the
been in love with
crossplay.
it.
I really like the crossplay between
Yeah.
you two. It's really cool.
It's cool. Yeah, I mean-
It's so sad when you got the video where it's both of you just kind of. It almost like feels like you're battling each other.
yeah, I think that was kind of part of the vibe. I mean, yeah, Ollie nearly had an actual breakdown around that video. So that was
We're filming and singing and filming.
that was a good one. Yeah, it was.
I think I have a clip of Mikey moving the light too fast, so it literally fell off of the like top bit and smacked me in the head.
Was
that
it?
the Lazy Boy? No.
It was on the Lazy Susan.
Lazy Susan, not the Lazy Boy.
the Lazy
Yeah,
Boy.
isn't it?
Stand like Lazy Susan, clamp that to a pole, and then
It's so
put the
sad.
camera on a tripod, and then whoever wasn't doing the take, the other one had to spin the light round.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. We've done some very high budget. Well, I say high budget. It's all been on the cheap, but some high budget looking videos, and then we've done some cake stand with a light attached to it. But they all look great, man.
Well, that's all
That's what it's all about. But
difference.
essentially, we pissed all our money up the wall very early on in the campaign. So we started off with a full wrestling production and ended up with bin bags stuck in the wall. So that's basically how it went. So.
fucking love Dangerous. Because it came out around the time that Don Broco did Gunshot.
Oh, don't even talk about it.
Well, what's the story behind this?
Oh, we loved Don Broco.
Yeah,
Let's put
yeah.
this on the record. We absolutely loved Don Broco. But like we'd done this, we had this idea, and it was like Jamie and I had basically sort of been discussing it, and
we were just like, oh, it's so unique.
no one's done anything like this.
No one's
before.
done anything like this. It's going to be so good.
And then
Like a week, because the plan was we were going to do the wrestling promos, weren't we?
Yeah.
Beforehand, and I think like 2 days before we were going to do the wrestling promos, to be like, oh, we're doing like.
They started announcing promos, and we were like, oh my god, fuck.
2 days before, like, I think, and it was just the Instagram post of like, oh, he's going to do a boxing match, and we were like, oh.
He's got us. We're done.
A second,
But at least it's boxing, right? And not wrestling.
And people were like, oh no, he actually is boxing.
Yeah,
He
I thought
actually
it
is
was-
boxing.
I thought
And
it
we were like, no, it's a video. They've done us.
They've got us. Yeah, it was just that timing wise, it couldn't have
Yeah.
been any worse really, because it was just. I think it was like the same day as well, wasn't it? Like it ended up
It
coming
was
out.
like, it was
like,
like
we were-
24 hours apart.
Yeah, it was like, and we were just like, for fuck's sake, because obviously, like, they're such an amazing band and a big influence to us, but then there was lots of people going like, we had people sort of going, oh, you've ripped off Don Broco, and I was like, what? Since yesterday? Have you seen the fucking production?
You know how long it takes.
Like, obviously, yeah, we're fucking rapid, but come on now, like, obviously not, like. And it's just things like that where, the scene can be amazing, it can be quite cruel at times.
It's like kind of laugh it off, but it was just like so frustrating that it was like we got this idea and it was so different to anything we'd ever done before as well. So it was like
it's like that riff that Envisions did that was exactly the same as Architect's Doomsday riff.
Yeah,
and it was just like the timing, but they created it a year before. But when they released it, Architects had already done Doomsday. It's the same. Like that's familiar, but it's just timing sometimes.
I mean, there's only a certain number of notes and a certain number of orders and everything else as well. So you're always going to find. I think there's a difference between something sounding similar or influenced by, and then something being like a total rip, because I've seen that before, and that's obviously not good. So like you have to be careful with it. But yeah, it's part and parcel of it, really. I suppose, like you say, there's only a certain number of notes, and it's going to happen eventually. But all good stuff.
So before we wrap this up, because we tend to waffle on, I do want to talk about like Madre, just because I found it quite interesting. Because obviously you do have a load of different songs and stuff, but that felt like a little bit of an interlude. Like it was quite a short song. It obviously had a very particular lyrical style, and I know it was Jay, right? Yeah, who wrote it. So. Like, what was the kind of thought process behind kind of adding that to the album? Because it is very different. It kind of feels interlude-y to me, like in the sense that it's very short.
Yeah, that's something we discussed in the studio. There was a longer version of it when I wrote it, and when we discussed it in I think it was Oz who said first about having it almost like as an interlude, like sort of like to have like this, because everything's like quite high-paced, even like the poppy stuff is like real bouncy. I think it was Oz who said like just about. He said like we could take it away and work on it as a whole song, or a better what I thought was a better idea was to like basically treat it as an interlude, like a break. I feel like we'd had obviously like we've got Save You With My Love, which is quite like an emotional ballad, but it's like a big ending almost. I felt like with this album we were almost lacking the sort of like. We had like I don't know, like the death of me, and that we had sad stuff, but we didn't have anything that was real like heartstring that we had in the last album, which I felt was like Now That You're Gone was that, right? And it just felt like as an interlude, it just seemed to give like a breath and a break in this otherwise quite chaotic
So is that
album.
a personal song to you?
Yeah, so it's about my mum who passed away. So I think I wasn't really like writing for the band or anything at the time. I just sort of like playing around with the piano and just sort of writing. And I think I sent it to like maybe Stu and Ian first, and they really liked it. And then I just sort of like passed it on. And
because it means a lot to me, because my dad passed away about 13 years ago. So I kind of could relate to it like very much as well. So it's like even though it's 13 years ago, I'm still like. I wish my dad was here to see what I was doing and all the stuff, and like my dad was a session musician back in the 60s, and like he really got me by the king, because he was the original drummer on that song. So like, and it took me until he passed away to kind of appreciate my father, because I'm not I don't like being close to people. I'm a bit weird, like I'm quite distant to people. So then I heard that song, and like more songs I've heard, I'm a bit like. Fuck, and it's been like with the final say, even though it's obviously more about abusive from Caskets, I was like, I started to get to me about my dad, because I never really took it to heart when I was younger. Even though it was 13 years ago, I was like, I'm going to uni, I can't do anything about it. Like we had this discussion actually yesterday about this stuff. So it was a real like close one to me. So I was like, fuck, I feel this one's like right here. So
I think it's one of those things we all regret things about people not being there. And I think a lot of Madre is less about. I feel like on the last album I wrote songs that was like, fuck, I'm grieving. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm real fucking hurting. And then Madre was more like, I'm not really in that place anymore, but I don't really know where I am anymore. I sort of like, as you were saying, like not like guilty, but there's that element of guilt of like I didn't appreciate so much. I didn't appreciate at this point in time. I didn't appreciate that. I didn't appreciate this, and it's like it's almost like guilt as well for not feeling like you feel so shit for so long about losing someone, and then when it starts to like dissipate a little bit, it's still there, but you're almost like I should feel worse. Like I should feel.
That's exactly. We had this conversation yesterday.
And that's sort of like what Madre is about. It's like it's trying sort of addressing all these things that have like happened, like.
And being like, things that people don't tend to talk about with each other because it's like you don't want people to think that you're cold or weak or too emotional or anything. So as humans, we kind of pocket it, but we all go through it. And so when you're listening to stuff like that and you can kind of relate to it, and even if it's not something that's happened to you directly, you can still relate to a lot of the topics you're talking about. Really, it's really important. I've always said that, like, you know, the paper is really a soundboard of your emotion, right? Like, and if you can make songs where you're writing things that you feel, then ultimately that is your therapy. But also it's the ability for other people to connect to that as well and relate. So it's deep. It's deep.
Yeah, we'll get away from the sadness. Before we all have a little cry.
I've got to say though, "Save You With My Love" as an ending tune. As well, mate. Absolutely, it's the best tune that you can finish with though. Like it's literally. I was trying to put in my mind when I was driving down again. It's a 3-hour drive, so I'd listen to it a lot of times. I was trying to reorganise the songs in my head to think, is that order right? But that is the perfect song for you to finish on. What was it that defined that you were going to choose that as the last?
We knew pretty much as soon as it was.
I think
like you'd finished it pretty much. We worked on it. You had the initial idea, then we sort of fleshed it out, and from the second it was done, it was almost like.
I think lyrically for me, like obviously there's different elements all the way through, but lyrically for me it's quite a personal record. Like overall, about a lot of shit that I was dealing with, and that is kind of like the sort of the tough one, because it's the one that was like the sort of punctuation point on the end of it, where it was like this sort of understanding of everything that had gone before, because that's basically when I was writing it. It was like, what the fuck, like difficult for me, because I was like, all of a sudden I kind of everything sort of clicked and it all made sense. And I don't know why it came out the way that it did, but obviously like with the lyrics, and then it's like slightly different in its style.
So I remember there's a degree of epicness to it.
That's it, yeah. It's very different to anything we've done before, I think. And we took it into the studio and sort of took it to Oz, and he was like, I don't really kind of get. And I don't even think he finished the sentence. I was like, that's the last song, and then he was like, okay. And then like obviously once we started piecing it together, he was like, yeah, this makes perfect sense now, because it does kind of, for me this record was like therapy essentially. Like that's what, you know, in my bits that I've done throughout it, like, and that's kind of the way I treated it, and I'm quite open, you know, to talk about that. But like that was the one. It was like the realisation that it didn't really matter what I did. I spent a lot of time battling with my own shit, and it didn't really matter what I was doing, because there were so many other things going on that I couldn't control. And I think that's, once we kind of tapped into that, it just came together, didn't it? Like the whole song, and then it was like, that's...
It works. The whole thing is like absolutely perfect. Like, we're always willing to critique people, like we do all the time. We've done it with Caskets, we've done it with Visions, and everyone's always like really appreciative, but genuinely, like, I can't find anything that I actually don't like on the album. Like, I genuinely love everything, and usually we can be quite harsh, but like in a constructive way.
I appreciate that.
I've struggled. Like, I listen to it in the gym all the time, apart from when I get to Marjorie. Like, that was a bit too sad for when I'm trying to squat loads of weight. Just see me crying.
There isn't actually a song that I dislike on the album.
No,
that's very good of you, man.
So, yeah, well done, boys.
Yeah. Right, before we go,
clap of approval.
Still clap of approval. Favourite song to play live? Let's go before we finish.
Quick fire, go.
Violent.
We haven't played it live yet, but in practice, Does It Keep You Up, I think is my favourite. There's just something different about it, isn't it?
Cool.
Because we don't play anything else like it. It almost makes me feel like I'm in a band like Arctic Monkeys or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, there's just something.
I'm a puppet on a string, Tracy Island.
But I do like the garagey R&B type of little boxes.
Dude, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could go. I'm not going to, but I could go into some stories about that song.
Yeah, so I think that one will be a good one to play live.
I really like Violence up there, but I think like crowd wise, Death of Me and So Sad are both like the audience seem to just really vibe off those tunes. It's so hard to pick, because like they're like my babies, you know what I mean? But like it's probably one of those three.
almost the same as you.
Okay.
So I think Death of Me is probably my favourite to play. But also taking some inspo from Jay, I think I really like Save You For My Love. Like, we've not played it yet.
Okay, yeah,
but
yeah.
even from just when we've been practicing it, like really vibing with it. Like the really big open choruses where it's just tapping, it's like you can just like
it's
vibe
a cool
with
vibe,
it.
man.
It's, so I think that's going to be a really enjoyable one to play. Like,
Wicked.
probably definitely.
We're looking forward to all of it. So we'll tell you if any of them suck. If they're shit, you won't have any beers left. They'll be gone. So. I appreciate it. And as we always say, thank you very much. And
Thank you for having us.
buy the merch, buy the shit.
Subscribe to the fucking channel, you absolute bastards, and you.
But yeah, thank you very much, and yeah, make sure. Like and subscribe, all of that stuff. We always say, like, make sure you buy some merch, listen to music. It's important. It's fucking important. So, thank you very much.
Cheers to that. Not that it's open, but
Much love, guys.
Nice one, guys.
Appreciated.